She worked double shifts at Millbrook General, leaving me with $20 bills and notes on the fridge. Order whatever you want, baby. Mommy loves you. The delivery drivers knew me by name. Mr. Chun would always throw in extra egg rolls, saying I was too skinny. If only he could see me now. Fridays meant Dad's house, a suburban dream with a fully stocked kitchen he never used. His love came in bulk from Sam's Club, family-sized bags of Doritos, cases of Mountain Dew, frozen pizzas stacked like edible building blocks in the freezer. "Eat up, champ," he'd say, disappearing into his home office. Growing boy needs fuel. He measured his parenting in calories provided. The pantry looked like a convenience store, and I had unlimited access. While other kids had bedtimes, I had feeding times whenever I wanted. Whatever I wanted. As much as I wanted. By age 8, I was the fat kid. Not chubby, not husky fat, the kind of fat that made other parents whisper at school, pick up, the kind that made the nurse frown during height and weight day, writing numbers that made her ask if I wanted to talk to someone. What would I say? That food was the only thing that never left. That when my parents screamed at each other through lawyers, a pizza could make it quiet. That I knew exactly how many Oreos it took to stop crying. My grandmother tried to help in her own broken way. She'd survived the depression, and her love language was butter. "You're not fat, you're sturdy," she'd say, serving me thirds of her famous mac and cheese. "Strong like your grandfather." But grandfather had been dead for 10 years, and I'd seen his pictures. He was never more than 180 pounds. We both knew she was lying, but the mac and cheese was warm, and the lie was warmer. She'd bake cookies every time I visited, the smell filling her house like a security blanket. "Eat, eat," she'd urge, as if feeding me could somehow fill the holes my parents had torn. School became a battlefield measured in lunch periods. I learned to eat fast, to finish before the comments started. I memorized which bathroom stalls had broken locks so I could eat my second lunch in peace, the one I bought after finishing the one Mom packed. The cafeteria ladies knew my double life but never said anything. Mrs. Henderson would sometimes slip an extra chocolate milk onto my tray with a sad smile that hurt worse than any insult. I'd wolf down my official lunch at the table, enduring the stares and whispers, then retreat to the second floor bathroom to eat in peace, pizza slices wrapped in napkins, cookies stuffed in pockets, anything to fill the emptiness that followed me like a shadow. If you've ever felt judged because of your weight, you're not alone. If you've ever eaten in bathroom stalls or cried into pizza boxers, I see you. If you've ever wondered why you can't just be normal, why food has such power over you, why the thing that's killing you is also the only thing that makes you feel alive, I understand. This story isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who's ever been trapped in a body the world treats like a punchline. Middle school was where hope went to die. 7th grade started with the presidential fitness test. That annual humiliation where they lined us up like cattle and measured our inadequacy. Pull-ups were impossible. I couldn't even hang from the bar without my shoulders screaming. The mile run became the mile walk, then the mile sit dash on dash, the dash bleachers dash, and dash pretend, dash to, dash have, dash asthma. But it was the sit-andry that broke me. Bending forward, trying to touch my toes while my stomach fought against me, compressed and burning. The whole class watching. Someone whispered Humpty Dumpty, and the giggling spread like wildfire. Coach Martinez told them to shut up, but he was trying not to laugh too. I saw it in his eyes, that mixture of disgust and pity that became my constant companion. The nicknames evolved with cruel creativity. Fatas was amateur hour. By 8th grade, I was Jabba Stay Puft Precious. Kids would moo when I walked by. They'd make earthquake sound effects when I climbed stairs. During Siggy Zed, when they separated boys and girls, Tommy Chun asked if I needed to go with the girls since I had bigger tits than his girlfriend. The whole room exploded. Even the teacher cracked a smile before catching himself. I laughed along, pretending it didn't shatter something inside me. That night, I ate an entire sheet cake meant for my mom's book club. She found me passed out on the kitchen floor, frosting still on my face, and just covered me with a blanket. I tried dieting. God, how I tried. Mom would find my food journals, pages of calorie counts that always ended with tear stains and chocolate smears. I did Atkins, South Beach, Weight Watchers with Mrs. Patterson from next door. I drank cayenne pepper and lemon juice until I vomited. I took pills I ordered from sketchy websites that made my heart race and my hands shake. Nothing worked. Or rather, everything worked for exactly 2 weeks before I'd find myself at 2 a.m., standing in front of the fridge, shoving cold pizza into my mouth like I was trying to fill a hole that had no bottom. The binge episodes were the worst. They'd start with one cookie. Just one. I promised myself. But one became six, became the whole package, became a run to 7-Eleven for more. I'd eat until my stomach hurt, until breathing was difficult, until the physical pain finally matched the emotional pain and I could sleep. I'd wake up surrounded by rappers, evidence of my crimes, and promise that today would be different. It never was. The cycle was as predictable as it was destructive: restriction, breakdown, binge, shame, repeat. High school brought new depths of cruelty. Social media meant the humiliation followed me home. Someone created an Instagram account called Whale Watching that was just pictures of me taken without my knowledge. Eating in the cafeteria, struggling to fit into desks, sweating through gym class. It got 500 followers before the school shut it down. But the internet never forgets, and neither did I screenshots circulated for months. I'd walk into rooms and conversations would stop, phones would disappear into pockets, and I'd know they'd been looking at pictures of me. Dating was a joke with me as the punchline. Sarah Mitchell asked me to homecoming sophomore year, and I spent 3 weeks believing someone actually saw past the fat. Turned out it was a dare. She and her friends had bet on whether I'd actually show up in a tux. I did. The picture of me standing alone by the punch bowl, tux straining at every seam, became a meme in our school. Forever a lone buffet edition. I found out about the bet when I overheard them in the hallway Monday morning, collecting their winnings. $20. That's what my humiliation was worth. By junior year, I weighed 350 pounds. The health problems started as whispers and became screams. Sleep apnea meant I woke up gasping, drowning in my own body. My knees hurt constantly, a grinding pain that made stairs feel like mountains. Dark patches appeared on my neck and armpits, acanthosis nigricans. The doctor said, a sign of insulin resistance. Prediabetes at 16. My body was failing me, or maybe I was failing it. The distinction stopped mattering. I stopped going to school, dances, football games, anything that required being seen. My world shrank to fit my shame. Online gaming became my social life. Behind a screen, I could be anyone. My avatar was thin, athletic, everything. I made friends who knew me only as Dragon Slayer 95, who liked me for my raid strategies and not despite my weight. For 8 hours a day, I could pretend I was normal. Then I'd catch my reflection in the black loading screen and remember the truth. Even the internet couldn't protect me from myself. My chair broke during a raid, sending me crashing to the floor while my teammates listened through the headset. Dude, you okay? They asked. I said yes, but I stayed on that floor for an hour, crying into the carpet, too tired to get up, too ashamed to admit that getting up required planning, momentum, furniture to grab onto. At 17, I moved like someone 70. Mom tried interventions, disguised as conversations. She'd leave Weight Watchers pamphlets on my bed, gym membership offers on my desk. We'd have tearful talks where she'd hold my hand and say she was worried, that she loved me no matter what, that she just wanted me healthy. But then she'd still buy the foods I begged for, unable to say no to the one thing that seemed to make me happy. We were caught in a cycle of enabling and shame, both of us drowning. That was worse. He'd just throw money at the problem, paying for programs I'd never stick to, surgeries I was too young for anything to avoid, actually talking about it. The breaking point came at 17. I'd hit 402 pounds, and my body was screaming. I couldn't walk to the mailbox without gasping. Sitting in class meant constantly shifting, trying to find a position where I could breathe. I started missing school, too exhausted to face the world. My grades tanked. College dreams evaporated. While my classmates planned futures, I planned my next meal. The guidance counselor called me in, asked about my plans. I couldn't tell her the truth, that I didn't think I'd live long enough for plans to matter. Then came the night that changed everything. I was home alone, halfway through my second pizza, when the chest pain started. Not heartburn. I knew heartburn. This was different. Crushing. Like someone was standing on my chest. My left arm went numb. At 17 years old, I was having a cardiac event, sitting in my gaming chair, surrounded by empty food containers, completely alone. I managed to call 911, gasping out my address between waves of pain. The last thing I remember before passing out was thinking how pathetic it was, dying with pizza grease on my fingers. The ambulance couldn't get the stretcher up our narrow stairs. I had to walk down each step an eternity. paramedics flanking me in case I collapsed. Mrs. Chun from downstairs opened her door, saw me, and immediately closed it. But not before I saw her expression, horror mixed with relief that it wasn't her son. The paramedics had to call for a special ambulance, one equipped for bariatric patients. The word stung more than the four they couldn't find a vein for. The hospital was a nightmare of inadequacy. The blood pressure cuff didn't fit. They had to get a special one from pediatric intensive care. The MRA machine couldn't accommodate me. They had to send me to Millbrook Veterinary Hospital, the one they use for large animals. Do you understand what that does to us? To be too fat for a human medical equipment, to lie on a table meant for horses while technicians avoided eye contact. Dr. Morrison didn't sugarcoat anything. He was young, maybe early 30s, with kind eyes that made his words hurt more. Your heart is working 3 times harder than it should, he said, showing me test results I couldn't understand. Your liver is fatty, your joints are deteriorating, your pancreas is failing. He paused, letting each word sink in. At this rate, you won't make it to 20. Probably not even 21. He didn't whisper, didn't soften the blow, just delivered my death sentence like he was reading a grocery list. 21, 4 years. Maybe, if I was lucky. Mom broke down in the hallway. I could hear her through the thin walls, sobbing to my father on the phone. I failed him, she kept saying. I failed our baby. Dad showed up an hour later, and for the first time since the divorce, they sat together, united in their grief for a son who was still alive but already planning his funeral. They held hands over my hospital bed, and I pretended to sleep so I wouldn't have to see their pain. The ride home was silent. They'd prescribe medications, diet plans, referrals to specialists, a paper trail of interventions that felt like too little, too late. I sat in the back seat, all 402 pounds of me, watching the world pass by and wondering if this was what dying felt like. Not a dramatic exit, but a slow fade, measured in pills and pamphlets. The seatbelt extender dug into my stomach, a constant reminder of how far I'd fallen. That's when the isolation began. Not all at once, but gradually, like sinking into quicksand. First, I stopped going to school. The stairs were too much, the stairs too heavy. The principal agreed to let me finish online, grateful to have one less liability limping through his hallways. Then I stopped leaving the house entirely. Why bother? Everything hurt. Everyone stared. Every trip outside was a reminder of how much space I took up in a world that wanted me to disappear. My bedroom became my universe. Blackout curtains to hide from the sun, a mini fridge Dad installed so I wouldn't have to go downstairs as often, a bedside commode for when the bathroom 15 feet away felt like a marathon. I was 17 years old, living like an invalid, marking time until my heart gave out. The walls were covered in posters from when I still had dreams, colleges I'd never attend, places I'd never visit, a life I'd never live. If you've ever been told you're dying by degrees, you know this feeling. If you've ever sat in a doctor's office and heard your expiration date, felt your parents' hearts break in real time, known that your body has become a ticking time bomb, you are not alone. Maybe you've cried in the hospital bathrooms, muffling the sound so the nurses won't hear. Maybe you've Googled painless ways to die at 3 a.m. Not because you want to die, but because living hurts so much. Maybe you felt like a burden, a disappointment, a walking cautionary tale. I see you. It was you. I am you. Days blended into nights, blended into weeks. I'd wake up, take my pills, eat whatever Mom left outside my door, play games until my eyes burned, eat again, sleep, repeat. My online friends noticed the change. You okay, Jagan? They'd ask when I'd go quiet during raids. I'd blame lag, technical issues, anything but the truth, that sometimes I couldn't breathe well enough to talk, that my fingers were so swollen some days I couldn't grip the mouse properly. The food delivery drivers became my only human contact. They'd knock, leave the bags, and flee before I could open the door. But I knew they'd talked about me. The fat kid who ordered enough food for a family, who tipped in cash so there'd be no contact, who lived in the house with the ramp Dad had installed when stairs became impossible. I was an urban legend in my own neighborhood, the boy too fat to leave his room. Mom tried to maintain normalcy. She'd bring my meals on real plates, cloth napkins, like we were having family dinner. She'd sit on my bed and tell me about her day, pretending not to notice when I struggled to sit up, when breathing and eating became competing activities. She'd kiss my forehead before leaving, and I'd see the wetness in her eyes. We were both pretending I wasn't dying. The worst part wasn't the physical pain, though. That was constant. It was the mental erosion. I'd lie in bed and feel my body expanding, spreading, taking up more space every day. The mattress developed a permanent crater. Stretch marks appeared like claw marks, red and angry across my stomach, arms, thighs. My skin hurt from stretching. I developed sores where flesh rubbed against flesh. I was rotting from the inside out, and I couldn't stop eating because food was still the only thing that made sense. When the loneliness got too heavy, there was ice cream. When the shame peaked, pizza could muffle it. When I caught glimpses of my reflection and wanted to scream, Chinese takeout could silence the noise. I knew I was eating myself to death. I just didn't know how to stop. Or maybe I didn't want to. Maybe this slow suicide was exactly what I deserved. Winter came, and with it, new humiliations. The shower chair broke, sending me crashing into the tub. It took Mom and 2 paramedics to get me out. They had to remove the bathroom door to fit the equipment. Our neighbors watched from their windows as strangers lifted my naked body like, "Cargo!" Mrs. Paterson from next door brought over casserole the next day, her eyes full of the kind of pity reserved for terminal patients. I started ordering everything online. Clothes that never fit right, books I'd never read, games I'd never play, anything to feel like I was still participating in the world. The delivery boxers piled up in the corner, a cardboard monument to my isolation. Mom would clear them out while I slept, but they always came back. Evidence of a life lived through a screen. My 18th birthday passed without fail. Mom brought a cake sugar-free, as if that mattered anymore. Dad called from a business trip. My online friends sang "Happy Birthday" over Discord. I blew out the candles and wished for the courage to stop eating. Instead, I ate the entire cake after Mom went to bed, then threw up until my throat bled. Happy birthday to me. Spring arrived, but I didn't notice. The blackout curtain stayed closed. The world outside continued without me. Classmates graduating, going to prom, starting their lives. I watched their Instagram stories from my bed, a ghost haunting my own existence. Sarah Mitchell posted pictures from college visits. Tommy Chun got into MIT. Everyone was moving forward while I was sinking deeper into my mattress. The breaking point came in May. I woke up and couldn't feel my feet. Not a sleep gone. The nerve damage the doctors had warned about. I tried to stand and collapsed, my legs refusing to hold me. Mom found me on the floor, sobbing and covered in my own urine. The ambulance came again. The special equipment, the veterinary hospital, the whole humiliating circus. This time, Dr. Morrison was blunt. "You're dying, Marcus. Not eventually. Now, your kidneys are failing. Your heart is enlarged. You have maybe 6 months, unless something changes dramatically." He pulled up a chair, sat at eye level. I've seen a lot of kids in trouble, but I've never seen someone so young, so determined to die. "What happened to you?" I couldn't answer. "How do you explain that you're not trying to die? You just don't know how to live. That every diet feels like drowning. That food is the only relationship that never rejected you. That you're so far gone, starting over feels impossible." I just cried, and he sat there. The stranger who'd seen inside my body and found it failing on every level. They wanted to admit me, start aggressive interventions. But what was the point? I'd been down this road. The liquid diets, the nutritionists, the therapists who'd never been fat telling me to just make better choices. I asked to go home. Mom fought me, Dad threatened, but I was 18. Legally allowed to kill myself slowly in the comfort of my own room. The ride home was different this time. I saw the world like someone saying goodbye. The trees were so green, the sky so blue. Kids were playing in the park, their bodies moving without thought or pain. When had I last run, jumped, existed without calculating whether a chair would hold me? I pressed my face to the window and mourned the life I'd never lived. That night, I did something I hadn't done in years. I prayed, not to any specific God, just to whoever might be listening. I didn't ask to be thin, didn't ask for miracles. Just asked for one reason to try. One thing stronger than the urge to disappear into food, one spark of hope in all this darkness. The answer came from an unexpected place. My Discord group was planning a real-life meet. 5 years of gaming together, and they wanted to finally meet. "Dragon, you have to come," they insisted. It won't be the same without you. I imagine excuses, money, timing, family, obligations. Everything but the truth. Then Kevin, our raid leader, sent me a private message. I know why you won't come, he wrote. I've known for a while. The chair breaking, the breathing problems, the way you've been saying goodbye without saying it. I get it, man. I was 500 pounds 2 years ago. Almost died in my computer chair. But I'm here. I'm alive. And I need you to be alive too. He sent me a picture. Kevin, who I'd imagined as the athletic warrior his avatar portrayed, standing in loose skin and stretch marks, 200 pounds lighter, but still heavy, still fighting, alive, smiling, proof that there was something after rock bottom. We talked for hours. He told me about his journey, not the inspirational bullshit, but the real stuff, the relapses, the loose skin, the therapy, the days he still wanted to eat himself to death, but also the first time he walked a mile, the first time he fit in a restaurant booth, the first time someone looked at him and saw a person, not a problem. I'm not going to lie and say it's easy, he said. It's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but dying is harder. Trust me, I've been close enough to know. 3 weeks after that conversation, I did something I hadn't done in months. I went outside, not far, just to the front porch, but I sat there for 10 minutes, breathing air that didn't smell like my room, feeling sun on my skin. Mrs. Chun walked by with her groceries. Instead of looking away, I waved. She waved back, surprised. "Good to see you, Marcus," she called out for words, but they felt like a beginning. I started small, embarrassingly small, drinking water instead of soda for one meal, walking to the bathroom instead of using the commode, sitting up in bed for an hour instead of lying down all day. Each tiny victory felt monumental. Each setback, and there were many, felt like proof I should give up. But Kevin checked in daily, reminding me that progress isn't linear, that healing happens in spirals, not straight lines. I found a therapist who specialized in eating disorders. Dr. Williams, herself a survivor of binge eating. Our first session, I couldn't even say the words out loud, but she waited, patient and understanding, until I could whisper the truth that I didn't know how to stop eating, that I didn't know who I was without the weight, that I was terrified of trying and failing again. "You're not trying to lose weight," she said. "You're trying to save your life. There's a difference. One is about vanity, the other is about survival. And Marcus, you deserve to survive." Therapy was brutal. Uncovering why I ate meant uncovering pain I'd buried under thousands of pounds of food. The divorce, the loneliness, the belief that I was fundamentally unlovable, the fear that without the weight as an excuse, I'd have to face who I really was. Some sessions left me so raw I'd come home and binge, but slowly, incrementally, I started understanding the difference between hunger and hurt. I joined an online support group for people like me, not a weight loss group, a survival group. We shared our struggles with existing embodies. The world wasn't built for the shame of breaking furniture, the fear of medical equipment, the isolation that comes from being too big for life. But also the small victories, someone flying for the first time in years, someone dating again, someone just making it through another day without giving up. The weight started coming off, not dramatically, this isn't that kind of story, but pound by pound, my body began to forgive me. At 380, I could walk to the mailbox. At 370, I could shower standing up. At 360, I could sit in the car without the extender. Each milestone felt impossible until it wasn't. I'm 19 now, still fat, still struggling. The scale reads 385 pounds this morning. Not the 340 I'd hoped for. Not the 300, that seems like a dream, but not 402 either. I take my medications. I see my therapist. I walk around the block every morning, sometimes twice when the weather's nice. Mrs. Chun and I have actual conversations now. She tells me about her grandchildren. I tell her about my games. We're becoming human to each other. Some days are harder than others. Some days the urge to order everything on the delivery app is overwhelming. So many days I do. The difference is that now I don't let one bad day become a bad week, a bad month, a bad life. I'm learning that recovery isn't perfection. It's persistence. I'm planning to meet my gaming friends in person next month. The thought terrifies me. They've seen my recent pictures, know what they're getting, but still, being perceived, taking up space, existing in public, it all feels impossible. But Kevin reminds me that impossible is just another word for haven't done it yet. My parents are trying to... Mom stopped buying my binge foods. Dad started walking with me on weekends when he's home. We don't talk about the past, about the enabling and the pain. We just walk slowly around the neighborhood, rebuilding something that broke along with that scale 2 years ago. I still have bad days. Days when the mirror is my enemy and food is my only friend. Days when 21 feels impossibly far away and impossibly close. Days when I wonder if fighting this hard to stay alive is worth it. But then I remember Kevin's message. Remember Dr. Williams' words. Remember that somewhere someone might be reading this from their own rock bottom, needing to know they're not alone. If that's you, if you're reading this from a bed that's become a prison, a body that's become a cage, a life that's become unbearable, know this: you deserve to survive. Not because you'll become thin, not because you'll become inspirational, but because you're human, and humans deserve a chance to heal. I won't lie and say it gets easier. It doesn't, but you get stronger. Strong enough to choose water sometimes. Strong enough to walk to the mailbox. Strong enough to believe that maybe, possibly, you deserve to take up space in this world for reasons other than shame. The shadows are still here. I still feel like I'm living in darkness most days. Still fighting not to disappear into food and isolation. But shadows only exist because somewhere light is trying to reach us. Even the deepest shadow proves that light exists, that it's looking for us, waiting for us to step into it. I'm not there yet. Not even close. But I'm walking toward it, one impossible step at a time. Breathing through the pain. Choosing to try again tomorrow. Learning that maybe the goal isn't to escape the shadows, but to realize that I deserve to exist in the light. All 385 pounds of me. This isn't an ending. It's barely a beginning. But it's mine, and I'm still here to write it. Still here to fight for it. Still here. Period. And sometimes that's the biggest victory of all. The scale in my bathroom still works. I step on it every morning, watching the numbers that once defined me become just data points in a larger story. A story I'm still writing. A story that doesn't end at 21 or 25 or any arbitrary deadline. A story that continues as long as I choose to keep telling it. And I choose to keep telling it even when it hurts. Even when I fail. Even when the world feels too small and my body feels too big, because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that they're not alone in their shadows. Someone needs to know that rock bottom has a basement, but also a way out. Someone needs proof that the monster they see in the mirror is just a person in pain, deserving of compassion and capable of change. I am Marcus Thompson. I am 19 years old. I weigh 385 pounds. I live in Millbrook, Pennsylvania, in a bedroom that used to be my entire world. People called me a monster long before I believed it myself. But I'm learning slowly, painfully, that maybe they were wrong. Maybe we all were. Maybe I'm just human. And maybe that's enough.